Today is Saturday, February the 3rd, 2018. Hello, and welcome to Weekly Astrology Notes for the week of February 4th through the 11th, 2018. Weekly summary. Well, it's kind of similar to last week. It's another party week. The big aspect this week is Venus sextile Uranus on Tuesday, making it a very easygoing day. Good time to be with friends. A time when it's easy to love everyone. The theme is universal love. Love is the theme for that one. Excellent time for relationships as well. And we've got a couple of little challenges during the middle of the week. But then on Saturday, Sun squared Jupiter. And that's another party day, much like the Venus squared Jupiter from last weekend. And these two aspects really highlight the incredibly positive Aquarius energy we are experiencing these days. You'll notice we've got 3 planets, as well as the South Node there, in Aquarius these days. And they're all about to sextile Uranus and squaring Jupiter. So the Venus sextile Uranus, it's going to be the first of 3 sextiles. After that'll be the Sun and Mercury. And the first of 3 sextiles that elevate us to new heights of awareness, activate the higher mind, help us to develop new associations. So this is a theme that we're going through over the course of the next few weeks, all right? It's time to make new friends, find your tribe and spend time with them. Along the way, we let go of judgment regarding people who are very different from us, have a different lifestyle or a different way of seeing the world. And we just learn to appreciate people whose value in this world is not immediately evident to you. It's like you don't see what value they have and you just kind of pass them by. Well, that kind of thinking is changing. The Venus sextile Uranus is very good at seeing the intrinsic value in others, and I should say in all people. So it's the mark of the teacher, and that's what we need to do in earnest this week and moving into next week as well. Rigid viewpoints dissolve in the sunshine of Aquarius. Aquarius is a light bearer. It brings things to the light so that we can all discuss them openly and freely without inhibition. We need to bring light into the darkness within ourselves, and we must dedicate ourselves to enlightening others. Be a good member of the tribe. Have truly egalitarian values. That is to say, see others as equals. One who is supportive of others, and especially one who does not undermine the integrity of the group. And that's a big important issue with the square from Jupiter in Scorpio. As my father used to tell me, every Aquarius is a closet Leo. So many liberal people or Aquarian people in our culture who enjoy playing the part of the Aquarian archetype are not really Aquarian in nature. They're not really egalitarian. Okay, really much of what passes as Aquarius is actually the negative side of Leo. Okay, such as politicians and media talking heads who express Aquarian values in what they say, but really they're just a bunch of drama queens and kings. So it's more like the negative side of Leo. And this is the Aquarian illusion that many of us have fallen into, especially in Western society. Thinking that you're acting in a positive Aquarius manner, but really it's just the negative side of Leo. And really all signs behave in this way. They all show this behavior. The negative side of one sign is not really what you'd expect. Usually the negative side of one sign is expressed as what you'd expect to be the negative side of the opposite sign. So, a negative side of Libra, for example, would be a very bossy, what you'd expect to be a negative Aries. And the same is true for the Aquarius-Leo axis. So, we're breaking through the illusion of Aquarius. That is to say, the illusion we have about ourselves and have about others. And that's a very important issue. Considering that these sextiles, they're coming from Aquarius, crossing over the threshold from one cycle to the next, and that's 0 degrees Aries, and into Uranus in Aries. So that means we're taking the untapped and underutilized Aquarius energy within ourselves, and we're reclaiming it. We're bringing it forth in a powerful moment of reawakening of spirit, as Uranus in Aries, which is now in the last degrees of Aries, okay, it's going to be in Taurus by May. It's still beckoning us to manifest that warrior spirit within ourselves. And the Jupiter squares really help us let go of rigidity, forgive, and move on to something new. So this is an important cycle that we're going through, a cycle of growth, where we're being given an opportunity to reclaim the unutilized Aquarius elements, possibly due to illusions or living in a society that has a lot of illusions regarding Aquarian values. And we're reclaiming that and bringing it forth. And this Venus sextile Uranus is just the first one. And so I wanted to give everyone a heads up for that, to give you a real good feel of what I think we're going through, which is changes, changes, changes. You know, Uranus and Aquarius, they always bring change. So get comfortable with that. Let loose and go with the flow. The party atmosphere this week is going to continue into next week, into Mardi Gras and the new moon. So most importantly of all, enjoy yourself this week. Have fun. Play. Do something exciting and invigorating. Most of all, meet new people. You know, see the intrinsic value of others. Good time to be in a party or all social gatherings. Let nothing bother you. Be as free-spirited, adaptable, and easygoing as you can. Very key word, easygoing. Let nothing bother you. Okay, so these positive, communal, and loving aspects this week are in stark contrast to the transits for the USA this coming weekend. You know, the idealistic tone that Trump set during the Neptune trine Sun last week, during his State of the Union speech, I think that's going to quickly dissolve, as this Friday and Saturday bring very contentious transits for the USA. There's potential for conflict, even a false flag, as well as bad economic news for the USA. I hope that doesn't burst the bubble that I was kind of putting forth here earlier, but it's just a real difference between the aspects we're getting and the transits for the USA. And at the end of the video, I'm going to go over transits for Andrew McCabe, the FBI director who just got fired, resigned, whatever. Trey Gowdy, who's decided not to seek re-election, and go over his transits. And of course, the USA. Got a lot to talk about with them in particular, but also the Federal Reserve, China, and some things going on with Germany. They too, like the USA, are set to have a pretty tumultuous weekend coming up. Okay, so let's get started. Sunday, February the 4th, got Moon in Libra. It gives us two pleasant aspects today, making it a good day for relationships, one-to-one interactions. We start, we'll see the Moon trine Mercury. That's shortly after midnight Saturday night. And then in the evening, Sun trine Moon. Always a pleasant aspect. Inner conflicts subside. We're more able to share ourselves with others. Very creative. It's in the air signs. Good for communication and intellectual exchange. Nice aspect for the end of the week. And then on Monday, the 5th, Monday morning is easygoing with a smooth commute hour. But late morning is unpredictable. And then we got a long void, of course, until the evening. Means it's not a good day to start new projects. We start in the early morning with the Moon trine Venus. Pleasant feelings on Monday morning. Desire to fly, good for intellectual exchanges. And the morning commute should go well because it's Moon not only in Libra but trining Venus. So then around late morning, the Moon opposition Uranus. impulsive and think you know everything when you don't. Behavior is unpredictable. Not a good time to come to any conclusions or try to resolve anything. It may cause disruptions. And then avoid, of course, begins, and that continues until the evening, so it's not a good time to start projects on Monday. Moon enters Scorpio in the evening. We're more passionate, intense, and aggressive for the next couple of days. More in need of patience with others. But if we are, we're able to transform our circumstances for better and help the community. Just remember to not take anything personally when the moon is in Scorpio. Otherwise, you think of revenge. Okay, so let's move along to Tuesday. The intense energy of Moon in Scorpio in the morning quickly gives way to a very easygoing feeling from Venus sextile Uranus. Love of freedom and independence. Universal love is the theme. Thought I'd mention that again. The best time to be with friends, open to different people and new experiences, and Tuesday evening is magical. We start in the morning, Moon sextile Saturn, energy released in a slow, steady stream. We're calm and productive on Tuesday morning. We're focused and get on work and getting ahead. And then in the mid-afternoon on Tuesday, we got the Moon square Mercury. Insecurities interfere with social interactions. Worried that others have more than you. That's the square from Scorpio to Aquarius. Strong mental focus brings increased psychic ability to know what others are thinking. And then in the evening, the very wonderful Venus sextile Uranus. Very easygoing, liberal in the true sense of the term, not political at all, just the opposite, egalitarian, wanting to share and accepting of people who have different points of view. Large dose of Aquarius energy gives us the ability to love everyone, see the intrinsic value in everyone, want to teach and help others. Good day to meet a teacher or be a teacher to someone else. Expose yourself to something new and exciting to stimulate the mind. We enjoy being surprised today and enjoy the company of people who are different from ourselves. Good time to be with friends and associates, and good time for relationships. Very easy to get along with your partner. One of those times when it seems you could do anything and your partner would be accepting. No rigid or frigid attitudes. Very open-minded. Relationships that start today are non-traditional. No one wants to conform to social norms, and no one wants to be hemmed in by another. Love of freedom of independence. Good time for abstract thinking, learning something new. In the natal chart, this aspect is the mark of the teacher. And as I mentioned earlier, this aspect, and when I should call it out, it'll be 25 degrees of Aquarius to 25 degrees of Aries. This is the first of three that takes that untapped and underutilized Aquarian energy that you have and helps you bring it forth and reclaim it over this threshold of 0 degrees Aries and bring it into this Uranus in Aries energy, which is the warrior spirit, and becoming who you truly are, changing your identity and evolving. So this is a very promising sign. A lot of good opportunities from this and the others to come. And then to make Tuesday evening even more magical, we've got the Moon trine Neptune. Very dreamy and compassionate. More of the easygoing feeling for the evening. It's just perfect timing with that aspect. Okay, moving along to Wednesday, February 7th. Moon in Scorpio gives us some challenges in the morning with the last quarter moon, but the afternoon and evening go a bit smoother. We start in the morning, Moon square Sun, the last quarter moon, a challenge for fulfillment, like it happens every month. You may feel forced to keep secrets in order to maintain the status quo, but secretly desire to reveal what you know. And that's the square from Scorpio to Aquarius. It's all about privileged information. Should I keep it to myself, or should I share it with the group? Keep it to myself in order to preserve my position in the group, or share it with the group in order to preserve the integrity of the group. And that's the big question that we all have with the square from Scorpio to Aquarius. It's all about whether or not we should maintain the status quo. Competition and insecurities arise, causes tension. Use the energy to focus and strengthen your position. And then in the mid-morning, we've got Moon sextile Neptune. A lot of Scorpio energy. Deep emotions come to the surface to help clear away the debris in our lives. Changes for the better, though it sometimes does not feel that way because of the disruptions that it can cause, even with a sextile. And then in the mid-afternoon, much loved Moon conjunct Jupiter. Feeling jovial Wednesday afternoon. Always the best time to be in a crowd on those Moon conjunct Jupiter aspects each month. A pleasant, agreeable mood. Good time to share with others. And then late in the evening, another Scorpio to Aquarius square. We got Moon square Venus. Moving along to Thursday, February the 8th, Moon in Sagittarius brings a positive attitude, but the Moon conjunct Mars late this evening brings strong emotions and a fighting spirit to the surface. So we start early in the morning when the Moon enters Sagittarius. We're more playful and desire to explore for the next couple of days. Idealistic and generous, forgiving and spontaneous. We like to go wherever inspiration takes us. More philosophical and desire to publish or promote our ideas in the world. And that generally positive attitude carries forth for all day Thursday. And then late in the evening on Thursday, Moon conjunct Mars. Strong emotions come to the surface. A sudden burst of energy, a fighting spirit. Folks are loud and aggressive. It's in Sagittarius. Prone to extravagance and poor judgment. Be careful traveling late Thursday evening. These folks are just really pushy. Okay, moving along to Friday, February 9th. Feeling lazy in the morning, but the Moon in Sag brings a positive attitude for the rest of the day. Good day for business. However, today starts two very contentious days for the USA. More about that at the end of the video. So we start in the morning with the Moon square Neptune, Sag to Pisces, feeling lazy, idealistic, easy to deceive yourself. Emotions are scattered on Friday morning. And then a little past noon, in the early afternoon, Moon sextile Mercury. Good time for business meetings. Really good. That's Sagittarius to Aquarius sextile. Good communication. It flows well and the mind is sharp. Good time to promote your ideas. Others are listening. They want to learn new things. Okay, moving along to Saturday, February the 10th. Sun square Jupiter makes it another party day, just like last Saturday with the Venus square Jupiter. Everyone wants to go to a party, and Venus enters Pisces today, bringing out the artistic side in us for the next month. Stark contrast to the USA transits for the USA today. Okay, so we'll start in the morning on Saturday with Moon trine Uranus. Feeling ambitious and desire independence. Do some yoga. The Uranus-Sagittarius combination. A void, of course, begins, though, and that continues until the evening. So, although Saturday is a real jovial day, it's not a day to start new projects. So, Venus enters Pisces on Saturday. It'll be there until March the 6th. Now, this is a great time for artistic endeavors. It's time to pull out the old sketch pad and start drawing. Music, painting, drawing, fabricating, whatever it is that you do, make birdhouses, whatever form your art takes. Do that in earnest over the next month. Force yourself to create something artistic every day. It may seem hard, but one of the best lessons you can learn from this is learning to appreciate the sacrifice that it takes to develop one's artistic skill. That's a very important lesson to learn. It really elevates the mind. And that's really the best lesson we can all achieve during the coming month. We all need to have a relationship with the infinite to help us address our fears during this time. That's why art plays such an important role, because it helps us have that relationship with what we can't see. Nuance and delicacy is very important to develop in yourself now. Venus in Pisces is very perceptive and open to nuance and very delicate, sometimes has bewildering nuances associated with it. So if you decide to tune in to the subtle vibrations, you can pick up a lot more. Strong connection to the spirit world. In Pisces, Venus feels connected to everyone, is compassionate, sensitive, and forgiving of others, but very vulnerable. Easy to persuade, can be talked into a lot of things that aren't necessarily for their best interest. Can be easily deluded, as they tend to overlook the bad side in others and don't think that anyone would want to deceive them. Romance enters an idealistic phase as we seek a partner who understands everything about us, including our need to connect with divine source. Challenges we could face now is the biggest is disappointment. And that's why I suggest doing something like art and so forth, because that really helps to rise above those kind of feelings. Also, feeling let down when your ideal is not kept, is not in keeping with reality. We can be very superstitious and delusional, and sometimes our ideas need to be kind of shattered. Nonetheless, we feel very disappointed. Also, it's easy to absorb the energies of those around you, so you need to find sanctuary. Also a must is to commune with nature. Venus rules Taurus, and that's sextiles to Pisces. So we seek a sensual connection to the collective. In astrology, Pisces is the fish, but it rules all the animals. Neptune does, or Pisces does, in the sense that every animal represents another doorway into the collective unconscious. So, communing with nature and wild animals will help you develop that connection to the collective that we all seek now. So I would suggest that kind of sensual connection with nature as another remedy to overcome some of the downside of that. And of course, the best is to get involved in your artwork. And then in the afternoon on Saturday, the much jovial Sun squared Jupiter. Today, our creative power expands. We have more energy and more creativity. Folks have a pleasant disposition and a generous attitude. It's a very social aspect, perfect for all social endeavors. Just like last Saturday gave us Venus squared Jupiter, this aspect is much the same, only even more creative and romantic. So, like one of my subscribers noted, it's like a party zone. Desire to travel and explore and just do more. Be more. We're louder. Okay? Good aspect to start a journey. It's a good time to make romantic connections. It's good for business. Folks really want to spend money. Splurge. Poor judgment, though. Tendency to be extravagant and flashy. Aspect really makes for the perfect party. Everyone wants to go out and have fun and socialize. So there it is for Saturday. And then the void, of course, ends in the early evening when the moon enters Capricorn. We need to attend to duty and responsibility for the next couple of days. What preserves you in the long run. So it's not as emotionally available as the Sun squared Jupiter. So I don't think it's going to affect it too much on Saturday evening. As well, we've got another nice aspect on Saturday evening, Moon sextile Venus. Okay, so let's move into Sunday, the 11th. When we've got the Moon in Capricorn, it makes it a calm Sunday, a traditional day, time to attend to important matters, especially since right there on Sunday morning, we've got the Moon conjunct Saturn in Capricorn. Early morning Sunday is slow and cold, time for therapy and introspection, not outgoing. You need to attend to important matters. Probably find yourself being forced to do something having to do with your duty and your responsibility. Okay, strong need to restructure ourselves, or restructure our emotions. That's why we're not too available for others at this time. And seeing as how Venus is now in Pisces and we're tuning into animal spirits, we can follow the advice of the squirrel who says, what you sow is what you reap. Take care in choosing the seeds you are planting. Good words to think about on Sunday morning as we're in a time of therapy with the moon conjunct Saturn. And then on Sunday evening, moon sextile Neptune. A wonderful aspect to finish the day and the week. It's dreamy and sensitive, helps us to reflect. Okay, so that's it for this week's aspects. Okay, so moving on to interesting stories for the week. A couple of politicians who made the news this week are Andrew McCabe, Deputy Director of the FBI, just got fired. Thought I'd go over his transits. Uranus is quincunxing, or about to quincunxing, his natal Neptune and Uranus, as well as a Chiron opposition to Uranus and trine to Neptune. To me, that says sudden and painful events in his life. We always seem to have these quincunxes come when a sudden adjustment is happening, and it's always when the person is swept up in a collective event. Even when they're getting other transits that support, like in this case, him getting fired, the Pluto squares Saturn. You'll see that 19 Cancer to 19 Aries. So that one is known to coincide with losing your job because Pluto squares Sever and Saturn is your career. But nonetheless, I thought I'd point out the quincunxes because they always seem to be around when a precise adjustment is made. And then moving along quickly to Trey Gowdy. He's really popular. He decided not to seek re-election. I noticed his transits. I don't have his exact birth time, but I think he's getting a Uranus sextile moon because it's such a surprise, I think. But really, the big transit for him this month is Neptune opposition Pluto, the last pass on the 21st. He's had an intense awakening, as we all have. This is a generational aspect. Lots of people are getting it. So we've all had this intense awakening. Now I think he's going through a letting go process. No other major transits happening now. Next year, Saturn trines his planets in Virgo. And even sooner than that, Jupiter opposes his natal Jupiter. And so I think he's going to re-enter the justice system, is what I think he's talking about soon, next year at the latest. But the main story this week is the transits coming up for the USA this coming weekend. We start with the 31st of January when the House Intel Committee shocks the world and votes to release the controversial FISA memo. I'll leave a link. And this happened at the same day that Mercury entered Aquarius, which promises openness in politics. So I think that's a good sign that the FISA memo will be released if a story comes out on that day of Mercury entering Aquarius. And that just kind of reminds us that Mercury in Aquarius has many good things in store for the rest of us as individuals. Our minds are working better now. More openness. We're more intelligent. We're better able to grasp abstract concepts. We want to enlighten our minds and those of others. We're able to overcome rigid thinking that holds us back. So nonetheless, there's a serious battle going on, but I think it's going to be released, and I have high hopes for that. And the Neptune trine Sun really colored Trump's State of the Union speech a lot. It was pretty much all idealism and few specifics, very much in alignment with the general contentment that comes with Neptune trine Sun. He really gave no hint of the serious problems for the USA on the horizon. Coming up this weekend, starting on Friday the 9th, Mars will be at 8 degrees of Sagittarius. It's going to oppose the ascendant and, more importantly, opposition Uranus. That one is very ambitious and contentious, looking for a fight, like walking around with a chip on your shoulder. So that one, first of all, gave me some cause for alarm. And then recently, I found a source for the position of Chiron in the USA birth chart, because unfortunately, my software doesn't calculate it that far back in date. And I came up with, it's at 20 degrees, 8 minutes of Aries. You see that? 20 degrees, 8 minutes of Aries for the USA in its birth chart. And look where Pluto is going to be on Friday. 20 degrees, 5 minutes of Capricorn. So that means Pluto square Chiron on the same day as Mars opposition Uranus. That's a big ouch. Combination has the potential for a false flag event. Strong potential for confrontation, including military action. But there's more, which makes me think that the USA tries a false flag, they're going to be stopped. And there could be some fateful economic event that spells bad news for the U.S. economy. Not just the release of the FISA memo, which this could coincide with. And that's because coming up on the very next day, the 10th, Saturday, the USA has got Saturn opposition Jupiter, 5 degrees Capricorn to 5 degrees of Cancer. That's another tough one. This transit indicates a time of frustration, difficulty achieving your goals, and most notably, economic problems. Because, Jupiter is growth and prosperity, and Saturn comes in to limit all of that. So Saturn limits the expansion of Jupiter. The result is you feel you can't get anywhere. Growth is very difficult now. It's a time of consolidation, reevaluating your goals, to find the weak spots and correcting them. So it's time for therapy. Saturn always asks you to restructure and rethink and use better judgment. In addition, Saturn, it's not just the authority figures in the USA. It's collective. It's all over the world. It's the global Saturn. It's the entire authority structure. And that includes international banks. Because after all, they have probably more authority on the international scene than anybody else. So this transit indicates that the international banks are ready to put limitations on the USA, ready to dictate the growth patterns of the USA. The sobriety that comes in with this may very well be in the form of other authority figures dictating to the USA, this is going to be your budget, this is what you can do. One way or another, I suspect the financial news for the USA is not going to be good this week. So we do have the basic elements of a false flag this upcoming weekend. Like I said, though, I doesn't think it will happen because the Saturn opposition Jupiter kind of puts a wet blanket on that. So it could be an attempted one. Nonetheless, these economic problems only serve to give the dark forces in the USA even more urgency and therefore a reason to act now. That's why I'm so kind of worried about this coming weekend. And looking to the future, it just seems like a lot of things are coming down for the USA. Moving into the following week in February, we've got the South Node is going to conjunct the midheaven of the USA. And on the same day, a Sun conjuncts Mercury. You see that at 28 degrees. So to me, that's kind of fateful about possibly a fall of the USA's reputation. And then, of course, Mars is going to oppose Mars on March the 1st. And moving forward into the month of March, there's another big one, the Pluto quincunx Mars. Another potential false flag date, and that's going to be concurrent with Mercury and Venus opposition Saturn for the USA. So it's like we see these days already building up where you've got conjunctions happening. And Saturn is going to be conjuncting Chiron on that day. So we got these big conjunctions happening at the same time that the USA is having these fateful transits. And lastly, the pattern just continues to repeat. April the 18th, the last pass of Uranus square Pluto. You see that 28 degrees of Aries to 28 degrees, 30 minutes of Capricorn. Well, another big conjunction. Sun conjunct Uranus on that day that the USA gets the last pass of Uranus square Pluto. So we get Sun and Uranus square Pluto on the same day. So it seems like there's these collective moments, these conjunctions that are happening coincidental with major fateful transits for the USA. So despite the idealistic tone of Trump's State of the Union speech, I think there's a rough road ahead for the USA. Economically anyway, because you'll see here with the Federal Reserve coming up this month on the 16th, the last pass of Neptune at 13 degrees of Pisces, squaring Saturn at 13 degrees of Gemini. And they still have 3 more squares to go of Neptune square Mercury. 3 more passes, I should say. So this is coming on the heels of the Pluto opposition Mars, and China indicating they'll no longer buy U.S. treasuries to prop up the Federal Reserve. So they're facing their biggest threat. And this, now at the last pass, the process of dissolving their status and reputation reaches a conclusion. And this just adds to the Saturn opposition Jupiter transit for the USA, and the idea that the USA is being controlled economically by outside forces, because, the Neptune square Saturn is surrendering of your authority, and much the same thing with the Saturn opposition Jupiter for the USA. And China, they're doing really well these days. They're just coming off of Pluto sextile Jupiter right on top of their Venus, so they're making some really good moves economically. Good fortune to succeed in the long range. And coming this week on the 7th, the North Node crosses over their Mars. I think that's more good fortune for them. And I think they're going to initiate their plans and go ahead with their threat to no longer support the USA financial system. And complementary transits, Mars sextile their Sun. You'll see here Mars at 7 degrees of Sagittarius. It's about to sextile their Sun, followed by their Mercury and Neptune, as well as Jupiter sextile Jupiter the following week. And that's a really good one. You'll see here Jupiter currently it'll be at 22 degrees of Scorpio. It's going to sextile their natal Jupiter at 22 of Capricorn. So they're getting very good Jupiter transits. A lot of financial growth for China. And next year, coming up, the really big one I think we're all waiting for with China is the Pluto conjunct Jupiter starting in February of next year. So basically every time I see tough economic news for the USA, it seems to coincide with good economic news for China. And this situation seems to be no different. Moving along to Germany. Coming up this week on Friday, they've got a very big transit. Saturn conjunct Uranus. You'll see there at 5 degrees of Capricorn. This is just the first pass. The next 2 passes will be in June and November. So starting this week, the German people are looking to restructure, reevaluate, and rethink what it means to be a German citizen. Uranus represents the notion of we the people. It also represents the collective conscience of the people, the idea of democracy and equality amongst all citizens. While Saturn is your better judgment, your sober assessment of the situation. So the idea of what it means to be a German citizen is being rewritten starting this week. But change, which is ruled by Uranus, is inhibited. Despite a desire to revolt against the system, that's just not going to be possible now. Saturn puts too much inhibition on Uranus. So the people will have to change the system from within. And Saturn does not allow change for superfluous reasons, not change for the sake of change. Rather, only real substantive changes will suffice. So starting this week, the German people begin the challenge to restructure their society from within by changing the laws and the authority figures. And other transits on this Friday for Germany include Mercury square Pluto, Chiron trine Chiron, and these are all very close, and Uranus quincunx Mercury. Isn't it interesting how those quincunxes always seem to show up when they're ready to make a precise adjustment? Add these into the mix, and it looks like Germany is in for a tumultuous weekend, just like the USA. So, that's it for this week. In summary, I hope this political news does not take the spirit out of the enjoyable, easygoing atmosphere coming this week. Find your tribe and become active in it. These sextiles to Uranus are the last good opportunity to manifest the Uranus and Aries energy. So we really must endeavor to find the intrinsic value in all people. And speaking of intrinsic value, unfortunately, I did not reach my goal last month, which was only $50 in contribution. But I am undeterred. I've decided to raise my goal to $100 a month. You know, it really does take a lot of my personal time to put these reports together, and I need to start getting compensated for my efforts. I get no money in advertising, and YouTube will not allow me to monetize this channel. I'm asking my regular viewers for $1 per month. It's almost nothing to most folks, but collectively it would mean a lot to me, and your donation would make it possible for me to continue putting out these reports, which I hope you find useful and informative. You'll find donation buttons for Patreon and PayPal in the lower right-hand corner of the flower image on my homepage, right here. And if you're looking for an astrologer for readings or monthly consultations, I'm running a special this month of February. Only $85 for a natal reading instead of the regular $120. I'm also available for consultations on a regular monthly basis, using astrology as a tool for life coaching, which I find is some of the most useful work that I do because the immediacy of the transit information can be put to use right away in your life. It's a very practical way to apply astrology, and it's the same basic principle behind this channel. In addition, I'm a Reiki master, and I do long-distance Reiki healing. So if you're interested in what Reiki can do for you, you know, maybe you want to explore the healing energy or would like to get a long-distance healing, please contact me for either astrology or Reiki healings at mobilestar7@yahoo.com or at my weblog, calmsocalm.com, which is where I post the transcript of these weekly videos. And you can always send me a message on this channel. Well, that's all this week for Weekly Astrology Notes. Once again, thanks for viewing, liking, and sharing my video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Many blessings, and have a great day.